fellow tea lovers. Settle in, because we've got a story. I'm Nell.
And I'm Rose, and today we're bringing you the tea.
Across eras.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
When I was thinking about what episode we should do, like last year we talked about the website called Jezebel, their scariest stories.
You know, I haven't actually looked them up
I
this
was
year.
just about to
my gosh.
ask.
I would blanket recommend, just if you have the opportunity. I go back every year, usually.
Yeah, I have been reading some of the comments every day. Yeah, It's been fun. So I was like, oh, we should do something like that. But I found something local. So tell me what like the spookiest thing that's happened to you, or spookiest or creepiest, and it doesn't have to be local.
Well, so locally, I will say New Mexico is a really great place for a spiritual enthusiast.
Absolutely. Do you know how many aliens live there?
Aliens and conspiracies and ghosts abound, and it's really a rich storytelling area, which I really appreciate. I don't really know how I feel about the veracity of most of them. I always love a good story, but I think there's been very few that have really grabbed me, like, oh yeah, no, that's true and terrifying.
I know most of all y'all know what we meant, but when we said aliens, we mean the kind from outer space.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Just
no, Roswell
in case.
aliens, hilarious.
Yeah.
Any
Area
context,
51.
we're not commenting.
Yeah, that kind of thing. There's a lot of it out here. I personally have, to my knowledge, never seen an alien or a spacecraft or been abducted. But, you know,
Statistically, it's pretty unlikely that we're the only sentient beings in the universe.
I do think about that too. So I don't know.
Well, it's like ghosts. You know, I consider myself an extreme skeptic, but I've also had a ghost say goodbye to me when I moved out of an apartment. So
Right.
not physically, not visually. It was so we lived in an apartment building that I miss. I loved it. It was so pretty. It definitely had its problems. It was an old tuberculosis hospital.
Oh.
Because back in the day, one of the remedies, people get TB on the East Coast, and their doctor would say, go move to the desert. And it was one of the only things that you could do to mitigate the symptoms.
That's right. That place downtown, they used to call it the insane asylum. Not downtown. I think it was off 6th Street, but it was a tuberculosis place.
Yeah, and so it was a convalescent home, and so it had like weird doors that didn't go anywhere, and odd architecture because they'd sectioned it out into 4 apartments per floor.
Nice.
And I loved that place to distraction, but it was absolutely occupied by something that would turn every piece of electronics on in a circle and then off in a circle. And I had witnesses. But when we moved out, I had this bookcase. As you know, I mean, everybody builds one in college. It's cinder blocks and every board you can find, and it's beautiful. You hide things. It's fun. But I had just built one of those, like, I don't know, a couple of months before we decided we needed to move. And so there hadn't been time for all of the little things to collect in there.
Yeah.
And I'm dismantling it, trying to pack up all the books, and I find this old master lock manual, and on it in nib pen. And when I say nib pen, like if you do any kind of calligraphy, like, you know the difference in look between like a ballpoint pen and something that you dip in ink and,
Yes.
and like just
A
in the
nib pen
distribution.
looks more like a calligraphy pen.
Right. And in handwriting, I did not recognize, and I was the only person in the house qualified to use a nib pen at that point in time. And just a little scribble, and it said goodbye.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I have always been a skeptic, and I will probably always remain skeptical, but that's kind of a hard thing to deny.
I'm also a skeptic, particularly what I find improbable, the most improbable in the whole thing, is that some poor person is going to die and somehow their soul gets stuck here.
It is a fundamentally sad concept if you think.
That's terrible.
We've been re-watching Friends, and when Phoebe's grandmother dies, and they're all trying to make her feel better, and like, oh, well, maybe she's here right now. So, oh yeah, her first day on a new plane of existence, she came to the coffee house.
Exactly. I think about that, but I have to say okay, I'm many things. I'm a Christian, which is why this next part might sound weird. But I'm also like, well, scientifically, there's got to be some sort of science. We just haven't figured out yet. I know I say this like all the time. Yeah, there's something, eventually we'll be like, oh yeah, energy because, you can't create energy. It just is or was or whatever.
Technology of
This
sufficient
was
complexity.
extreme energy. It's just an imprint on this place. Because there's a ghost kid in my mom's house. Well, not anymore. Sorry, what were you going to say? Was it about that?
Arthur C. Clarke. I feel like I bring this up every single episode, but it always applies.
That's how I feel.
Any technology of sufficient complexity is indistinguishable from magic.
So I have a few spooky stories. I said, there used to be a ghost in my mom's house. It was a kid. It was not threatening. We all saw it out of the corner of our eye. It acted like a kid. It hung out in the hallway in the guest bedroom area. My poor sister.
Oh.
I know. One morning she was like, "Hey niece, why were you like in my room last night?" And that was when me, my brother, and our friend were like, "Oh, the kid ghost."
You're like, I'm sorry, the what now?
Right. And then, okay, so at my mom's office where my mom works, it has like a basement area. It's like a finished basement and, it's got some storage down
That's
there.
pretty rare out here, though.
Yeah, it is. It's got like storage and the bathrooms and like a kitchen area, some other stuff. And I haven't, like, I don't really know what all's in there because, it's not my place of business.
Right.
And there's like a big row of like filing things that kind of block the view I would see from the staircase. So it amazes me that like this super cool, probably 1940s, I don't know, heavy wooden desk. Like, dang, how hard was it to get it down the stairs? Anyways, that gets them talking. And my mom's like, "Well, we might have a ghost here." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And she goes, "Well, I don't believe in that,
I
but
was going to say, your mom suggesting that already ups the believability to me because
know.
that's not really a her thing.
I know." And my mom's like, "I don't believe in that." But one morning when I was the first one here, I came in and the alarm was set. So, I turn it off and someone was running up the stairs. And so my mom, being my mom, she's like, "Oh, someone's in here. Weird because the alarm's set." So, she goes outside and she calls her coworker slash the owner and they're like, "Don't go in," all this stuff. Anyways, and there was no one in there. And with my mom's coworker, while my mom's telling me this, she's like, "Oh yeah, that was like Mrs. Whoever, the original owner. She still hangs out here."
Back to your previous point, though, that just sounds like such a miserable eternal existence. Like, you stayed at work. I'm so sorry.
Okay, but knowing her, that would be all right.
I mean, if
But
it was
not really.
her love, her passion, that's, oh my.
No, knowing her, she is absolutely in heaven. But I don't know. And so now, anytime I think about that, or I'm like happen to be over by the office, I'm like, I wonder what she would think about this. Like, because like we were talking about earlier, tattoos. Like lots of people have tattoos. Employees there have tattoos.
Well, I never.
I know. I know.
I think that my favorite, I guess, theory on poltergeists specifically, but I get ghosts in general, was the concentration of energy thing, because I feel like it's less of a specific indictment on a person that got trapped there for whatever reason. Like, it seems like the most depressing thing in the whole wide world to have a specific entity stuck at their place of work for the rest of time.
Yeah.
But maybe if the energy of like all the times they were either super happy or super mad stayed, and it's not really linked to a particular individuality, like I feel like that's something I'm not comfortable with.
That seems so reasonable. And I'm like, yeah, in 100 years, science will have obviously proved that. I'm like, you're not seeing like a being who's stuck there. It's just like it's a echo of energy from the past. So
it's a thing you don't quite understand, and they exist, and it's all right.
You definitely believed in this as a kid because you didn't question what was, normal or not.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like it's a little window into the past, like a TV.
I do also believe that a lot of us, especially in like the little kid zone, also, play up experiences because we want it to be real so badly.
Absolutely.
And I think that's valid. I think every single one of us has been guilty of that in childhood.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do for the remainder here is I'm going to read to y'all some of the spookiest, eeriest things that have happened in New Mexico.
I love it.
I found this on Reddit. Yeah, so it's Reddit. Take it with
Right.
a grain or
A
a
boulder
pound of salt.
right?
Do your thing.
Pretty much everyone you encounter there is probably trying to screw you, except the Entwives. They're fabulous.
All right, so get your Himalayan pink sea salts ready. So if they still have a username, I'll attribute it to them, but some of these are deleted already. So this one was from about a year ago from someone deleted. It says, I'll tell you why my husband and I will never go back to Blue Water Lake. Side note, do you know where Blue Water Lake is off the top of
No.
your head?
Do
I don't either. Y'all can look it up. It's fine. I've told people about this incident many times when the topic has come up of, do you believe in anything paranormal? It is the one moment of my life that I can truly say something unnatural, or maybe it was just alien to me, for lack of better words, occurred. And many people witnessed and heard the same thing. I was born and raised in New Mexico, and I've been to some creepy places. Areas in Jemez feel off to me. The crest at night, in particular, feels bad. The tunnels under UNM, which, side note, apparently I've never been down there. Apparently there are tunnels that run under like the main campus of the university that's in this city. I know that once a year they offer, but I think only to the employees, tours of the tunnels. I've never been, but I've heard about them.
I've never been in the tunnels, but I did spend an unhealthy amount of time in the basement practice rooms of Pope Joy.
Oh
and
yeah, similar.
That's its own vibe at night.
It is definitely a vibe. I didn't have any reason to be in that area. I had a few classes, but none of them involving me actually playing an instrument.
Finals season, I was sleeping in those practice rooms.
Yeah, occasionally I would walk through that way if like I needed the bathroom. And like the one downstairs was, I don't know, creepy or full.
Right, yeah, but usually cleaner and emptier.
Okay, but remember back in the olden days when Craigslist was really popular, and I think I was getting my I was in my bachelor's degree program at UNM, and the Daily Lobo, the newspaper, published a piece on how the poor janitorial staff in the Popejoy building was constantly having to clean up used condoms in those bathrooms because people were using them for Craigslist meetups.
You're kidding.
No,
That
ma'am.
was not happening when I was there, and I guess now I see why it was always empty, because they spent a concerted amount of time chasing people out of there.
Yep.
That totally makes sense.
Yep. Okay, so back to the tunnels. The tunnels under UNM in the abandoned rail station in Albuquerque also feel scary enough to me.
That's the rail yards now.
I know. Well, it's pretty nice now. I've stayed a night in the old asylum converted into a hotel recently. That's the hotel,
Park Central?
Park Central.
Yeah,
Was that an asylum for, like, we
it
call
was
a
a
lot
mental
of
facility. It
things
was a
an
mental
asylum.
hospital. Up until recently enough that my husband actually did know someone that had been treated there.
Okay.
Like it was very recently a psychiatric hospital.
I think that is one of my siblings stayed there on their honeymoon. Or like the night after the wedding.
It's a real hotspot now. The press club is right up the hill behind it.
And it has like a rooftop bar.
Mm-hmm. Right
I haven't been in like 10 plus years, but they had good food, I remember.
I am sure it's very nice. I always land back at, you are exactly next to the freeway. Don't have outdoor venues.
It's actually nice. It's
Really?
pretty shielded. Yeah. It's angled to where your view is at those trees facing west.
Criticism retracted.
I mean, I haven't been there in like 10 plus years. So, okay. So this author says that when they were staying at that hotel, they felt like they were being watched. And then they also say the entire town of Lincoln as well.
just all of Lincoln. Just don't go there. Yeah, I believe it.
But Blue Water Lake gave me a reason to be fearful. My husband and I were dating at the time and were invited to go camping there with his family, a group of 10 people. We set everything up just off the shore of the lake, and another group of friendly people, but strangers, about the same size as camped a little ways down the shore. I felt a weird vibe from the whole area during the day, but brushed it off. My husband and I are not drinkers, so we were sober at night when everything went down. Our group and the other group were each doing their own thing at night, mostly playing card games, eating, having some drinks, and we kept hearing what sounded like a little girl whining. The youngest person in our group was my husband's 18-year-old brother, but we assumed the little girl was with the other group. The whining did sound a bit distressed, though, like someone asking for help, and it got worse and worse, and eventually someone from the other group came over and said, is there a little girl with you guys that needs help?
Oh.
It sounds like she needs help. And everyone's like, wait, nope, we thought it was you guys. Both groups are adult, no kids.
Creepy.
So we all gather flashlights and together we start searching the area thinking there's some poor little lost scared kid out here. There's a field of grass between the lake and the forest, and since the little girl sounded loud, we thought we would quickly find the source. There's a field of grass between the lake and the forest, and the little girl's sounds were very loud coming from there, and we quickly found the source. In the grass field, in front of the forest, we all saw the same thing. This tall thing, taller than anyone in our groups. It was incredibly skinny and completely white. Head to toe, just white. I couldn't make out features or clothes. That's the best description I can give. But as we were all standing there watching it with our mouths open, the little girl noises were continuing, and they were 100% coming from that thing.
Oh.
Every one of us was quiet. We all finally started looking at each other, and since we were in a large group, a couple of people advanced and we all followed to check it out. But as we approached, it looked like it was gliding backwards towards the forest. It still seemed like it was facing us, just somehow backing away. Then it got into the forest and we lost sight of it and couldn't hear the girl anymore. Both groups discussed how weird it was and honestly super creepy and agreed mutually to keep an eye out for each other for the rest of the night. The vibe was weird after that. Nobody was playing games or drinking, and it was late enough, so everyone went to their tent for the night. I wanted to leave, and I'm sure others did too, but I finally felt safe enough with my husband's and his brothers in our tent and didn't want his family to think negatively for me for leaving.
You don't want to be the wuss.
Right. I couldn't sleep at all that night, but neither could anyone else around me. Because later that night around 2 a.m. we heard it again, the same noises in the field behind us. None of us left the tent this time.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately in the morning, we completely packed everything up and went right back to the city. Sometimes the topic still comes up, but it creeps all of us out. Edit. My family used to stay at a cabin in Jemez each summer. I would never camp there. The vibes are off during the whole area. I don't know. I can't imagine how it is at night. Being in the cabin at night as a kid was scary and I could never sleep there. But Jemez fascinates me because it's so beautiful. You know where Hummingbird Music Camp is?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever go?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I know where the Girl Scout camp is?
Mm-hmm.
And did I ever go?
Mhm.
Sure did.
Look, and I won't lie to you, that just, especially like up at Hummingbird, like I really liked the old dorm. That I don't even know if they still have it. It was called the Beehive at the time, but it was the old barn, and I don't know, just
Yeah.
campier. The other one was like a poor attempt at a college dorm, and it sucked.
Oh, yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that was just not a place you went outside at night. Like you just inherently knew.
So, at Girl Scout camp, and the camp that's in the Jemez, I have only been to some sections of it. Like they have these really cool, like lean-to style cabins.
The ads.
The ads. I've never gotten the pleasure of staying in the ads.
I was so scared. I had to.
How do we describe the ads? Because I've been in them, but I just haven't.
It's like in the beginning of the Pioneer novel, when they get to the place where they're going to build their big house, and they
Yes.
build the little lean-to first, so you have a place to sleep while you're building the big house. It's that, only take out a wall.
So yeah, it's got a very it's on a platform.
Yeah.
It's got, a wooden platform on the bottom, and then there's what, 1, 2, 3, at least 4 sets of 3-story high bunks.
We had the flat cots. Like, I don't know, we had, like, little
Oh,
short ones, so it was just a row of 5 cots.
okay.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's singularly creepy to try and pretend that you're inside while staring at the outside as a child. I don't know.
Agree.
It wasn't enough shelter to make me feel safe, and I literally spent the entire time like badgering a friend of mine to come and like stay in the sleeping bag with me. I'm like, I need you.
I totally agree with that. So I never went to Girl Scout camp as a kid. I mean, dang, that stuff's expensive. I don't
Oh
know
my
how
gosh,
expensive
yeah.
it was in the mid 80s when I would have went.
Mhm.
But my mom also like really liked having us around. She was one of those moms who was sad when the kids went back to school. Whereas literally everyone else I know is like, thank goodness it's back to school time.
I know, like when everybody was trying to get their driver's license, and they're like, "Oh, just tell your parents they won't have to drive you around anymore." I'm like, that doesn't work. My mom actually enjoys that. I don't know.
I know.
I have no angle.
So I went as an adult with my kid to like the me and my gal, or I don't know what they're called, like type
Yeah,
of,
like the mom and me ones.
yeah, those kind of events. And we never stayed in those, but we did stay in the covered wagons once.
Oh, nice. See, I'm jealous of that.
That
Those
was
look
fun. And then we were way down, the covered wagons are like down here and you go up the hill and then around over where like the daisies and brownies stayed, those platform tents. We stayed there before. I am more afraid of another human being out there. That has always been something I think about when I am camping. I don't let it, I mean, not that I go camping that much, but I don't let it stop me.
Yeah.
But I am aware.
Our honeymoon, we went up to Charette Lake, which is, I had never heard of it before. We basically just started driving north because we were planning on camping, and just, when we find a good spot, there we be. And but, so we get up to like by the Colorado border, and there's this sign for some Charette Lake, and like, we've never been there. And like there were antelope everywhere. It was all picturesque and cool. And so we go and we kid up next to the lake, and we noticed somebody setting up across from us, like all the way across the lake. It was clearly like a bunch of dudes, bunch of beers. I wasn't that worried about it, except for I will never really know. I don't know why it makes me feel more safe to have like visual cover. Like a tent isn't saving you from anything, but like not being able to see it for some reason gives you that sense of security.
It does.
That the ads do not.
Yeah, they don't.
But the whole night, I will never know if they came over and walked around our tent or if that's just what our tent on the rocks near the lake sounded like. But I spent the entire night hearing just little crunch, 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 like every couple of minutes. That uneven...
I mean, it's probably antelope.
Oh, right. It could have been any number of things, but I was convinced that those guys had wandered over to us.
Of course.
Because people are scarier.
Right. I agree. One time at Girl Scout camp, the person who lives there all year also happened to be, for this event, the chef.
Oh.
And he's like a guy who had won like a bunch of the, like barbecue contests. Food was 10 out of 10. I loved Girl Scout camp food. My goodness. But
lucky you.
He did tell us that there had been a mountain lion in one of the trees. That made me pretty nervous.
Yeah, there were mountain lion warnings a couple of times when we went up there.
I mean, of course they live there. Most likely, you're not ever going to know they're there.
And most likely, if you hear somebody not like randomly screaming in the middle of the night, it's probably a mountain lion.
The problem with the area where we stayed when like she was like a brownie or daisy or whatever is you had to use the outhouse bathrooms.
Ooh,
and
that's rough.
Yeah, they were rough. But I also do not want to walk out of that tent at night.
No, that's the worst part of camping for me is like that wake up in the middle of the night knowing that you have to pee, you can't go back to sleep, and you're probably going alone.
Yeah. I mean, I assume if you're a kid camper, at least if I would assume this is what I would do, is I'd be like waking up at least two of my friends. We're going pee.
I need an escort.
Everybody get the brightest flashlight you have. So people in the comments suggested that the white entity in the field could be an extraterrestrial, La Llorona, a mountain lion, or, I'm going to say this word, controversial word, or a skinwalker. Now, I know that a lot of people don't say that word, and if you're listening and you don't want me to say that word, tell me, and I will not say that word any longer.
The thing that I was always taught is that you don't bring down the notice of things you wish not to meet.
The scariest thing that ever happened to me in New Mexico was seeing one. And so
Well, I have not heard this story.
I know, it's one of those stories you're like, nobody believes this.
I told you the Master Lock story.
Yeah, that's true. So I was, I don't know, somewhere probably between like ages 14 and 16. I did not live here. I was visiting here for the summer. And I was with my family and some family friends, and we were all in one of their Suburbans. So we're coming back from like the far east side of Belen.
Okay.
So pretty darn far. I-25 through there, through the res. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And all the adults are talking, and I'm sitting there looking out the window, and there was like something running alongside us. And I I read enough books to know exactly what I was seeing. And I just like leaned over and put my head against, I don't know who I was sitting by, my mom or sister. And I was like silently crying. And I didn't want anyone to know, but it was the most scary thing ever. But, you know,
You know
yeah,
what you see.
I
Even as a
know.
kid. No, I mean, you're
Maybe
aware
I
of what
was
you see and
closer
what you
to
don't.
17 because I actually have a kind of memory of crying into my glasses, and that was about when I started wearing them. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was scary.
Wow.
Anyways,
That's honestly exactly the right reaction. Like you think you saw that? No, you didn't.
yeah, I know.
That's very reasonable.
Okay, so here's another fun one. This is this is attributed to GG All Ins Undies.
I love Reddit usernames.
Me
It's some just
too.
creative things.
My grandpa used to tell a similar story, but I always figured it was just a ghost story. Him and his brother always liked to drink and tell stories. It goes that they were out drinking in the woods, don't know where, but they were from the Chimayo Santa Fe area. They heard a baby crying in the distance and went to investigate. No.
Never investigate.
Sorry.
No, that's not
It's
true.
never a mannequin.
Mm.
It's never usually an innocent baby. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is. Gosh, now I'm morally and ethically conflicted. Please don't cry in my presence. Okay, so they went out to investigate. Eventually, they come across a small baby by itself in a field, and when they go to pick it up, it spoke. Okay, this is me doing Spanish, okay, though? Mira, tienes los dientes. I think I did that right. I know what mira means. That's look, I have teeth.
Ugh.
Don't come at me for my Spanish, okay, y'all?
I think that was a reasonable attempt.
Thank you. So this baby has sharp teeth. I don't, unfortunately, remember the rest of it. Like I said, their stories were always about scaring us, but that one sounded close enough to yours. But you got to take this one with a grain of salt because he also told me one time that Zorro jumped off the Scottish Rite Temple onto his horse.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, those are some fun relatives to hang out with, it sounds like.
Right? And now we have a comment from someone, also deleted, about Lincoln. So now we get to find out why
circle
someone
back
hates
around to
the
Lincoln.
whole town of Lincoln.
Because I'm like, all right, Wild West, something mass
The way the
murder
kid
probable.
thingamajiggy, can't remember.
I can feel hints of why that would be, but I don't know.
Right? I've been to Lincoln twice. My dad loved the Wild West and the whole Billy the Kid thing. I can't say I've had any super crazy experiences there, but the energy is unique. The history there is well preserved. Bullet holes in the walls, markers where people were gunned down, and the town has a very violent history. So many of the buildings from that violent time are still there, preserved and available to walk through. We went during the day both times, and it's very interesting. If you want to believe in things being haunted, Lincoln is probably haunted. Comment from Dracula's Blood Type. I'm a day late to this conversation, but I want us to share my story about the Lincoln County Courthouse. Full disclaimer, I'm not from here. I grew up in New England, but have lived in New Mexico the past 14 years. My parents bought land in Carrizozo, and we were up there several years ago checking out the area. We went to the courthouse for a tour, and as we turned the corner to walk up the stairs to the second floor, I had a terrible feeling all over my body. My limbs suddenly felt heavy, and walking up the stairs was like trying to trudge through knee-high mud. Once up the stairs, it was fine, but those stairs were so emotionally heavy. That's weird.
I totally understand what they're talking about. Like in the old apartment, the apartments themselves were felt fine, or we wouldn't have lived there.
Yeah.
But whenever you were in the hallway, it was the same feeling as being in like a crowded bus station.
Oh.
Like it's the only way I could ever figure out to describe it, and a bunch of our friends agreed. It was just like when you step into a really busy space, except for you were the only one there.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a comment from Watery Desert. I was driving from Mora on I-25. See, here we go again with I-25.
Mm-hmm.
And took the scenic route through Las Golondrinas. It's a beautiful drive. I was enjoying the rocks and meadows and sunflowers. And legit, all of a sudden I see a dude up ahead on the side of the road. I slowed down as I approach and pass him, and he was in full chainmail knight's getup. Head to toe, face covering and all. And next to him, he had this massive lump duffel bag. I swear my mouth was hanging open in shock. And he didn't even move or blink, just watched me as I drove past and noped on out of there. It was so far away from any town. What was he doing? Why?
I totally have an answer to that.
Yep, someone knows. Someone did tell them. Okay, tell us what your answer is.
I was going to say SCA enthusiast hitchhiking.
There's a run fair around there in the late summer.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Somebody was trying to get a ride to work.
So funny. All right, now here's something from Horror Spliff. This is something I want to do, but I don't know if they still do it. I don't know if they do tours of this anymore. So this is in Santa Fe, the prison known as Old Main.
Oh.
I used to work on the prison grounds and actually got to walk around the Old Main without a tour guide. It was super interesting to see. The burnt out rooms, the chips in the floors from the murders, the burnt walls from the blowtorches, and there are still bloodstains in places. It was also interesting to see some of the artwork in the old cells there, but there is also a lot of graffiti. The execution chamber is kind of eerie. The death row cell used to house the last inmate had been untouched since their stay and was unnerving to see. The building is also dilapidated and dangerous to walk around in. It's pretty maze-like and could be very claustrophobic.
That's one that I would skip personally. I know my own limits
literally
when it
was
comes to those
Gonna
things.
ask you to do that for a podcast.
All right. So, and
Maybe tell people why you would tour Old Main. It's a prison in Santa Fe.
that's, yeah.
Riots.
Okay. Why I wouldn't or why I would?
Or why people would.
Why people? Oh, no. And I mean, I don't know. I think that one's rough for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, because it's not like physically safe in terms of structure. But what I was talking about earlier, like the whole idea of concentrated energies. So probably one of the most interesting ghost tours I ever went on was in Greyfriars in Edinburgh.
Oh.
And we had the good pleasure of getting to spin fire and celebrate Beltane with some of the guys that did those tours. I certainly hope you guys are still rocking it out. If you are, please keep being as amazing as you are. But yeah, no, a while before we had gotten to meet those guys, I went on this tour, and there is something called the Mackenzie poltergeist. It's just the most believable story of why a poltergeist would exist
Okay.
that I've ever heard. And it's much more complicated than I'm going to say. This was the short version. But there was one of the bigger tombs in Greyfriars is the Mackenzie like family vault. And the way that those particular vaults work, the last member of the family that has passed is in the upper chamber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
then
like
everybody
in
gets
New
moved
Orleans.
down.
Yeah.
Everybody gets moved down by one. And so there's this basically pit of bones at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so a homeless person was trying to find a place to sleep for the night and had landed up in the Mackenzie crypt. And so the caretaker who's walking around, his dog realizes that there's somebody in the tomb and starts barking. The guy tries to kind of like go into where he's not going to be found and doesn't have a light, so he doesn't realize where he is standing in the pit of bones. And so then the caretaker's flashlight goes by. He sees where he is. He screams bloody murder. The caretaker then hears bloody murder scream come from the Mackenzie tomb, and bam, you have such a confluence of energies.
Yes.
That it was strong enough to stick around. And then they have this huge litany of things that have happened since then because of the Mackenzie poltergeist. And that makes total sense to me. But that's also why I wouldn't go on the prison tour, because I feel like the concentration of anger and emotion there would
So
be pretty solid.
if you're not from here, you probably don't know this. In February of 1980, the prison, it was known as the Penitentiary of New Mexico, unfortunately had the most violent prison riot in U.S. history. Inmates took almost complete control of the prison. They took 12 officers hostage. Several inmates were killed by other prisoners. Some were tortured and mutilated if they were believed to have been informants. And at the end, after the police regained control of it, it took about 36 hours. None of the officers died. Many did have some serious injuries, and 33 inmates had died, and more than 200 were treated for their injuries. Yeah. So that is why that would be a ghosty place with bad energies. I knew someone who went on that tour, and ever since then I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, it's not uninteresting. It's just I don't know. I'm always really interested until I get to a place like same trip in Edinburgh. I was so excited to go tour the vaults, and then when I actually was in the tiny space underneath the city, I had very different opinions about it. I made it
Yeah.
through, but I was not
I mean,
pleasant
that's
company.
not like something, if someone was like, hey, we're going to do this,
Mm.
here's, like the biggest French tour group ever of tourists that go see
Mhm.
that, I don't know, maybe, but yeah, that's not on my list.
Yeah, right. Like Paris catacombs, I would still do it. I still think it's wildly interesting to see the cities underneath the cities.
Definitely.
Catacombs under St. Stephen's in Prague. That was, I mean, it was fun. It was informative. It was terrifying, but it also felt like a little bit dangerous on a scientific level because I'm sorry, plague pits, like being right there next to you. The idea of bacteria surviving is just not unfamiliar, and
Ew.
you know,
Ew.
yeah.
This person, Annual Mechanic 6869, says, I worked on a movie there, meaning at the Old Main Prison, as a PA for about a month, and it is super creepy. I didn't experience any paranormal things, but the energy there is very intense. There was an abandoned medical wing with x-rays and records still. We did explore a good amount of it and saw burn marks and hatchet marks from the riots. And then someone was talking about taking a tour, and then someone else said that 2 years ago they went on a tour. And that's where I was like, is this dark tourism? Am I unethical?
I don't know, just paranormally ethical hit the same spot as, I don't know, ethical for the living.
I know. Okay, here's some more shorter ones, okay, and then I'll wrap up. So, another deleted person. The ghost towns by Carlsbad have some weird people lurking around. I've encountered some backwoods people near Sandia Man Cave before.
Sandia Man Cave?
I don't know what
Oh,
that is,
need to
and a
know.
lot of people mention the vibes are not vibing.
Okay, all right. So I don't necessarily want to go there. I
Yeah.
would like more info.
This is over 10 years ago. One summer, a couple of my friends went to the Sandia Man Cave. On the way home, it was getting dark. We're driving back up the dirt road and noticed a tree blocking our path, like someone moved it. The third person that was with my friends got out of the car, and someone else started firing a gun into the sky.
Huh.
They all scattered away from the trail because people were waiting for them to get out of the car. And then
Wow.
they just left it there. No resolution. This person says there's a ghost town, Lake Valley, small schoolhouse museum. My husband and I walked around. They've got photos of the townspeople back in the 1920s. There was a picture of a young mother, and I just kept feeling drawn towards it. It was so familiar to me. And then my husband saw the photo and goes, oh, it's your twin. You look just like her. We walked around outside near an old church, and inside the church there was a small room in the back area. But both of us got a feeling of impending doom, like we were being watched the entire time. And of course, the Organ Mountains, and I mean organs, like Organ
Mhm.
mountains, are in our backyard, and they always give me an otherworldly feeling. Someone says, White Sands. How can you not say White Sands?
White Sands, I don't know. I feel like that's a modern form of creepy.
This person went at night.
How did you get in there at
Well,
night?
apparently during full moons they have or had a night tour,
Ah, okay, now that I would do.
and that would be really surreal. White Sands, if you are a millennial, it's in the Boys to Men video. I believe it's the one about waiting until the water runs
Really?
dry. It's in one of them. They filmed it there.
I didn't know.
Yeah. If you're not a millennial, it's a missile testing site / national park. Or yeah,
Hey,
it's exciting, isn't
now
it?
you can go sledding in the summer. It's
You
awesome.
can. I have a really good track record of I get like surfboard wax to grease up the bottom of like the round plastic sleds.
Nice.
I at least once on every trip I will land on my back in a yucca bush.
Oh yeah. No, I think
Whoops.
that's just part of the tour.
You just have to get out of it before the ants get you.
Yes.
A lot of people mention driving in New Mexico at night, and this is where I'm going to wrap it up. What can I say about driving in rural New Mexico at night?
Well, I think first off, people very often forget that we have Route 66. Like, how many really formative ghost stories are just having that long, quiet, pre-radio road trip across the United States. Something creepy happens in the middle of the desert on Route 66. That's us.
And like
That's like
physically
20
in
or
the studio, we're not that far away from Route
yeah,
66.
like
And
a
my
quarter mile away.
backyard
Yeah,
is in against Route 66.
exactly.
But if I'm ever driving, it's usually when I'm driving like to Colorado,
Hmm.
when it's dark and you're going through the reservations and the pueblos, and
There's no place for anything to hide. It's just all
it's
there.
so dark and the sky is so clear because we don't have humidity, and you can see every single star in the sky. I always think about what like the original peoples who lived out here, like what that must have been like at night, or if you were, like moving from one side of the country to the other, like looking for landmarks at night. It's amazing.
That's why there's such great storytelling out here, I think. It's because it's just like watching the whole universe laid out in front of you.
It's the whole universe from beginning to end. Here's how self-centered I'm going to sound. Sorry. As badly and desperately as I want you to like me, I want you to share your culture with me, I want you to want me to be part of whatever you're part of, because that sounds fun. And maybe when I die, my entire existence will just kerboom out into the entire universe so that I can be a part of everything, everywhere, all the time, all at once. That sounds so amazing to me. However, I am very aware that not everybody feels that way, so I have to respect how other people feel about it.
No, but I think it comes from a place of respect and joy. And I think as long as it always comes from that place and we're always willing to adapt when we got it wrong, because we will,
Oh gosh, yes.
then that's real appreciation. And that's what we always strive for.
Yes. So, in closing, if you guys ever visit New Mexico, and y'all should, we just had the balloon fiesta. I think we just talked about it.
Yeah, so this is actually a great time to come because the traffic's down.
Yeah, the traffic's down. Oh, but the balloon fiesta is fun. So if you come to New Mexico, there's many things to do. May I suggest, in your very reliable vehicle, take yourself on a little road trip up in the go to Four Corners and maybe drive along what is known as Highway 666.
Now, I would make that same recommendation, except for also drive through the Jemez, because as
Oh yeah, the Jemez is nice.
beautiful, as wildly creepy as these stories were, it is also beautiful. Like it can be both. Both things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, we used to go. I dated a guy for a while, way back in the olden days, and we went camping there fairly often. Just wherever there's places. But driving in New Mexico at night, because our landscape here is like rocks, and they're come in shades of like red, brown, orange, purple, and so we have like these tall rock structure formations, not like the red rocks you're thinking of in Utah, not like that, but they're their own kind of coolness, and they're ancient feeling, and you just look out at that sky and it's infinite forever, and you've turned into the Calvin and Hobbes comic where Calvin's like, wow, do you ever just scream into the vast void? I totally can't remember what it says. Do you ever look at the sky and realize you're so insignificant?
Since I think some people find that comforting and some people don't.
I like it.
I always liked that you didn't have to work very hard to achieve real silence here.
Whew, that's so true.
That's very hard in a lot of places.
It really is. When I lived downtown, my friend came and stayed with me once, and she had lived like way out on the west side of Albuquerque, and just staying the night for, I don't know, whatever reason. And I'm downtown, and she was in the front bedroom, and she was like, "It is so loud." And I was like, "It is?"
You get used to it really fast. And like, to be honest, most people that got stopped at the light in front of our house when we lived on 66 they had pretty good taste in music. You'd wake up really pissed off and then be like, "Oh man, it's Funky Town."
Oh, well, okay, it's a good song.
Have a good night.
Yeah, Albuquerque's fun. So if you guys want to leave us a comment and tell us what spooky stories do you have?
What is the creepiest thing that's happened to you that might be supernatural?
Yeah, you can
Super
change you can change the identifying details. But if you celebrate Halloween, I hope you had a fun one.
I hope your Halloween is the very, very best.
But I just remembered this today, the day that we're recording, not Halloween, Monday. Today, I can't remember the technical term for it, but it's the It's the Dia de los Muertos day for your pets.
Oh.
I went to Boo at the Zoo or Zoo
Boo.
Boo or something on Saturday, also at a very busy Saturday. And they had an ofrenda set up for their animals that have passed away.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I encouraged my sister to set up one for her pup. And if you haven't set up your ofrenda, the day after Halloween is Dia de los Muertos, and you want to be nice to your ancestors.
Time to plan ahead because there's parades to be had.
And marigolds to acquire. Okay, bye. Leave us a comment and like. We'll see y'all next time.
Have fun. Have a great couple of weeks.